Hay demasiadas instrucciones, Alicia. Está bien.
Sorry?
Hay demasiadas instrucciones. ¿O está bien? ¿Es fácil?
No, está bien. No parece muy complicado.
Okay. Creo que es mejor si tu móvil, o hay una disposición que el micrófono está encendido. Creo que es mejor apagado, ¿no? Porque hay feedback. Oh, es mejor ahora. No sé qué.
Él escuchaba sí, pero vamos que eso es lo único, ponerte en mute, que creo que...
Pero ahora, creo que ahora mismo está bien, ¿no? Bueno. Hola, Emilio. Bienvenido de nuevo.
Ciao, Ian. Thank
¿Cómo
you.
estás?
Fine. I'm still alive.
Do you have video, Emilio, or no?
Yeah, I do have video.
So you can see me? Oh, there you are. If it feels more comfortable having your video off, no problem.
Yeah, I can see you. Yeah.
And you could see the sala, I assume.
Yeah, on the sala.
Hola, Javier. Bienvenido de nuevo.
Hola, Jim.
How are you? ¿Cómo estás?
Bueno, más o menos. Una contractura en la espalda.
¿Por qué? ¿Para qué? ¿Qué pasa?
Bueno, no lo sé. Supongo que es que necesito ejercitar más mi espalda.
Es posible. O al contrario, el estómago. Los músculos en el estómago ayudan o apoyan la espalda.
Sí, pero es la parte de arriba, no es...
Oh, ok. Es un
tú
poco raro, ¿no?
Ya, bueno, me pasa a veces. ¿Tú qué tal estás?
Bien.
¿Sí?
Sí, estoy bien. Estoy muy contento.
Me alegro.
Bueno, es interesante que me sale de Madrid solo hace 4 días y me echo de menos mucho todavía.
¿Tu país?
Estoy en Francia otra vez.
Estás en Francia. Vale.
2 semanas, sí, 2 semanas aquí y después Estados Unidos.
Para pasar Navidades.
Claro, sí, con mi madre, mi familia, mis hijas y todo.
Muy bien. Pues nada, que vaya bien.
Gracias. Okay, well, let's see. I'm going to put you guys, I'm going to pin Saladana. I like how Carlos, you can hear me, right? And Alicia? Okay, or everybody? Yeah, I like how the camera is centered today. Is it the same place or? Because it's very centered. I mean, I'm lined up right with the Buddha and the tree. It's quite nice. Although, Alethea, it looks like you're looking over to the right. Am I over to the right or? So maybe the, oh, my point of view is a little different than yours. That's where I am, yeah. Hola, Lara. Welcome back. Yeah. I see a few people came back. Pedro, hi, Pedro. Damien. Eva's here. Okay, well, maybe we'll begin. As some of you know, many of you know, we've been tracking the 7 factors of awakening, which, is it still there, visible in Saladana on the paper? No. Okay. So anyways, we've been slowly kind of working our way through the 7 factors. And last week, we were on investigation, and I was tempted to talk this week about one of the aspects of investigation, which is not self, but I've decided I'm going to push that to the very, very end, because every one of the factors touch on that a little bit. And I thought we'll maybe tackle it all in 1 or 2 days. So instead, today we're going to talk about vidriya, energy or effort, which is the 3rd factor. And there's many aspects to this one, like there are all of them. But the one that I thought I would recommend, we try to keep in mind during the meditation coming up is the mind too tight or is it too loose? So, and this is so fundamental in our practice, right? Some of us have a tendency where we concentrate really hard and we use a lot of effort and, we try. And as a result, oftentimes we create contraction. The mind becomes tight. We might even get tired. And then there's others where we tend to not put up sufficient effort and energy and the mind is loose, and then it easily wanders away. And so vidriya, one of the how should I say, one of the pointings is to find the balance between too much and too little. And one of the stories, the like synonyms that they use or metaphors, the Buddha talked about tightening the strings of a lute, or we could think of tightening the strings of a guitar. If the strings are not tight enough, the guitar is going to sound terrible, right? And if the strings are too tight, it'll also probably sound terrible, and one of the strings or more might even break, right? So it has to be, the strings have to be tightened just right in order for it really to be able to play in a beautiful way. And kind of the same thing with our minds, right? If it's too tight, it might, break. It might snap. And if it's too loose, we're going to fall asleep, or our mind's just going to wander, and so forth. So during the meditation, and again, it's just an art, it's just a practice, it's just an experiment, but we kind of play with, is this the right amount? And again, as we learned in the last couple of weeks, investigation, being curious, is a way of generating energy. So if you are feeling kind of sleepy, maybe investigate something, look look deeply, find out what's underneath that, and see if that generates some energy. And if you have too much energy, you're excited, you're nervous, you're anxious, then you might try backing off a little bit, right? Let it kind of cool down. Maybe just feel it. Don't investigate it as much. Okay. Was there something, Carlos, that needed to be addressed or? Okay.
No, just checking if the volume was okay, if it's too loud or not loud enough. So people seem to be okay with the volume.
Same as with energy, right? We don't want it to be too much and we don't want it to be too little. Same with the volume. We want it to be kind of just right within the range. Okay, well, if there's no questions, I'll ask, are there any questions? So we're just going to do what we usually do. We're going to do a 32-minute meditation. First 20 minutes will be centering the mind, centering the attention. And then in the final 10 minutes, we'll go to a more vipassana style, which would be to notice the impermanence of all phenomena. And then kind of keeping this in mind, just are you efforting too much? Is there too much energy? If so, maybe you want to back off a little bit. And if you find your mind is just easily wandering away, well, then maybe you want to apply more energy, more effort, more vidri. That's sort of our background task for today. Okay. So Carlos, you sent me a message that said not up, but it's good now, right?
It's referring to a picture of the board that is not up on the wall, the pin board.
Oh, on your wall.
Yeah. And
Oh, you mean
Sangha,
the other thing? Oh, yeah, that's going to happen hopefully on Monday.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So here we go. So if you're willing, closing your eyes. Finding a comfortable, stable posture. With your back straight. Preferably what you might call a tripod foundation, where your sit bones and your knees or your feet create a nice stable foundation. And this is one of the areas where you can generate energy if you're low on energy. And that is by trying to maintain your posture. Do not move. So if you feel the urge to move, just notice that and try to resist it. And that challenge can generate energy. And we want our posture to be comfortable, so we don't tire ourselves out holding it in place. So you want your shoulders over your hips, your head centered, maybe tilted ever so slightly downward in a humble, noble posture. Maybe your hands are on your knees, or they could be in your lap. Just feeling your posture, noticing. Does it feel stable? Does it feel comfortable? Does it feel noble? And if so, to see if you can maintain this posture throughout the meditation. Simply focusing on your posture is meditating. And of course, if thoughts arise, judgments, fantasies, planning, we notice that as well. We see them and then we let them go. Don't cling. And just come back to your posture, to your body sitting. And so this sitting body, this posture can be the anchor or base, home base for your attention throughout the rest of the meditation. So you just keep coming back to the posture, back to the body, back to the sensation of sitting. Or you can go to the breath. So let's just find the breath now. See where you notice it very clearly. Is it in the belly? Or in the chest? Or in the nostrils? Or maybe its entire path? Or maybe even the whole movement of the body, the movement of the whole body. And if you like using the breath as an anchor, as an object, then pick a spot, or maybe pick the rhythm of the breath, or the path, the journey, the recorrido. And keep coming back to this, the breath, when your mind wanders. Become curious about the breath. Really notice it, especially if your energy is a little low, feeling a little sleepy or dull or bored. Really investigate the breath. Is it long, short, deep, shallow? Is the exhale different than the inhale? Is there a space of stillness after the exhale? Does it stay the same or does it change? There's many things you can discover about your breath. This life force. Without it, we would perish. And I heard something recently that I never thought of, that this breath, this air, this oxygen that passes in and out of our bodies, it also holds our body, surrounds our body. So if you're using the body, you can also remember that you're surrounded and touched on all sides by breath, oxygen, air. And lastly, if you don't want to use the body or the breath as an anchor, you can use hearing, sounds, listening. Just receptively waiting for sounds to enter. So pick an anchor, just keep coming back with the right amount of energy and effort, fine-tuning it, adjusting it as needed. And please, no criticism, no judgment. This is not a test. It's just a practice, just an experiment. If you are still experiencing lots of thought, the mind is easily wandering away, you might try efforting more, trying a little harder to stay with the anchor. And see if that efforting doesn't create some energy. After maybe a couple minutes, see if you don't feel more energetic. And on the flip side, if you're starting to feel like you're tiring yourself out, then maybe back off a little bit. Don't try so hard. Let the mind wander a little bit. So, if you are willing, we'd like to try a form of vipassana practice, sometimes called open awareness or choiceless awareness or choiceless attention. You can allow, permit whatever is most obvious to you to be the anchor. And therefore, the anchor may change. They go from sounds to bodily sensations, to the breath, to thought, moving around. And we follow it with mindful continuity, you might say, of attention. We're maintaining our mindfulness, we're maintaining our attention from phenomena to phenomena, noticing how they arise and pass away. And this may take a little more energy because the mind might just wander off into thought. Sometimes it's easier to just be with one thing, but that's okay. You just notice. If you've got to try a little harder, we try a little harder. And if it's too much, too tiring, you could always just go back to a single object as before. So, no matter how your meditation has gone, at any time we can start over again, coming back to the present moment with whatever is most obvious, whatever is easiest. And oftentimes the body is the surest, safest, clearest place to put the attention to create that embodied awareness, that embodied presence. So if you're willing, let's do that, bringing the attention back to the body, feeling your posture, experiencing the sitting body, infusing the body with attention, filling the body with attention. Maybe even permeating and extending into the air, into the breath that surrounds us, the oxygen that sustains us. And then drawing your attention to your heart center, to your chest area, for a brief little metta or loving kindness, goodwill, gratitude practice. And thanking yourself mentally for your practice, the goodness of your practice, for taking time out of your day to take care of yourself in this way and take care of those you care about and all beings, all life, really. This takes a bit of courage, which is another definition of Vidriya, as courage. To sit with ourselves in this way, feeling, experiencing whatever arises. And so then extending this gratitude out to those meditating with us today in our Sangha, Presencialis, in Saladana, or in YouTube, Zoom, and beyond. And then when you hear the sound of the bell, just noticing whatever arises when you hear the sound. Thank you all very much. I opened my eyes a couple times to see how people's postures were doing in the room. And I have to say, I hardly noticed a change. That was good effort. Good effort. Yeah, it's so interesting how the posture and the maintaining of the posture is in and of itself, it is a practice. We actually don't need to follow the breath or do anything. We could just pay attention to our posture for 30 minutes and we will have meditated and probably learned a whole lot about our minds. Just sit and know you're sitting. I don't know much about the Zen practice, the Japanese Zen, but what little I do know, I've heard that literally that's like the instructions. Just sit. That's it. Just sit. Just take a posture. So before we do a walking meditation, is there anybody who has any questions or comments, would like to share about the practice? Maybe I'll ask, was it all helpful having vidriya, having effort and energy and mind and trying to find that balance? Did that keep you present maybe a little bit more than usual or the same? I can see Carlos's head. You know, all these steps are intended to support us, right? They're all onward leading. They all should lead us to the next factor, for instance, which in this case is joy, alegria, piti in Pali, which I've often mentioned. And piti is a very pleasurable, that's why it's often called joy or ecstasy or rapture, often translated as rapture. It's a natural arising as a result of the energy and the effort. So there's like even kind of a physical reward for having the right amount of effort, the right amount of energy. Anyways, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But if there's no objections, why don't we do a little walking meditation? Does that sound okay? I got a couple. Okay, Lada's got her thumb up. Okay, good. So we'll go for about 7 minutes. And those of you in the room and those of you who are new, so we want to imagine this is 2 meters. Could be 2 meters, but then you can't see it. So try to find a path of about 2 meters where you're not going to knock into somebody. And the idea is simply to walk nice and slowly, attentive to your feet, or that is attentive to the sensations in your feet. The contact with the floor of your feet. And that becomes your anchor. And this is such a useful practice. My gosh, we can use it anywhere, anytime when we're walking. I often will use it even if I'm in a crowded city like Madrid, walking, and I notice my mind has started to, grab onto something, and it wants to plan, it wants to plot, it wants to pursue. And then I'll drop down into my feet. And I'll just feel my feet for a few steps or whatever, might be 4 or 5 or 10, even if I'm lucky. But, transformative benefits. Immediately, I just kind of relax. And of course, you can also just do the standing, like if we're waiting in line, just put your attention in your feet when you're waiting in line somewhere, waiting for the metro. Anytime we can interrupt, especially the obsessive thinking, the unwholesome, unskillful thinking, is beneficial. It's going to help us. So anyways, we just walk slowly, nice and slowly. And for those of you who are new, if there are some, you'll notice the others, kind of how fast they're going. And then you get to the end of your couple meters, consciously with awareness, you turn around and then you walk back. We're not going anywhere, right? We're just trying to stay present. And if you really want to challenge yourself, again, that being one of the definitions of Vidriya is challenge, see if you can walk with your breath. Maybe take a step with the inhale, step with the exhale, inhale, outhale. Ooh, what a funny word. Exhale, not outhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. But if you're satisfied with just the more traditional, do that. So I'll set it for about 7 minutes, and then when we reach 7, I'll ring the bell again. I will walk as well. Well, thank you all very much for your practice. You know, walking meditation is one of the examples that Joseph Goldstein uses in his book, Mindfulness, about energy, about effort, about courage. In that for some people, you know, walking meditation is a little challenging or a little unusual. They're not used to not going anywhere, just walking back and forth. And sometimes when we generate courage to try something new, you know, to push ourselves a little bit to an edge of our comfort zone, this will generate energy. And this is an antidote to sloth and torpor, which is the kind of old-fashioned way of saying, you know, drowsiness, dullness, sleepiness, lethargy, you know, an unwillingness to kind of get something done. And this is what this vidriya, this third factor, is really about. It's about the power to get something done, the power to act. And without it, obviously, we wouldn't be able to do anything. And this practice that we're on, this path, can be, you know, kind of challenging at times. And so energy, this vidriya, this is needed to be able to follow the practice. And there's rewards or benefits. It becomes a cause of consequence of the deepening of the path with piti, and then tranquility, deeper concentration, and then eventually equanimity. It's essential, just as is mindfulness and the investigation. So I thought I'd like reading from Joseph's book, because it's just such a well-written book. But before I do that, I'm going to share screen. And, you know, as many of you know, I get these emails sent to me by an American guy, and they're quotes from a Burmese monk who Joseph Goldstein also likes to quote. Sayadaw Tejani is his name. And this one that I got today just happened to be about energy. So I thought, why not read it first? Let's see here. If I go here, did I hit share screen? I did, right? I'm going to move that out of the way. Here we go. So you can see this monk, right? Okay, so there he is in his robe. This is today. And he goes, most people use a lot of energy when they're meditating because they're afraid of their thoughts or want to avoid them or stop them. But you cannot make the mind not think. If you're trying to stop the mind from thinking, you're trying to do the impossible. This is when you start using a lot of energy, right? Wear us down. So just starting with that little thing, and this is one of many, many aspects of energy, and how fundamental it is. You know, so much of the practice is really about managing our energy. You know, and this is also what yoga is very much about, of which really meditation in the yoga perspective, meditation is just another posture, right? It's just another asana. So when we're fighting with the way things are, we are going to expend energy. We're going to tire ourselves out. And this is one reason why we do the second meditation that we do, because the first one, the samatha that we practice, that one can actually be tiring. If you keep fighting to get to your anchor, you're going to wear yourself out, really. And I know many meditation teachers who've been meditating for decades where their basic practice is open awareness now. They don't even really do the centering, samadhi, single-pointedness meditation, which, has its benefits, but they do a much more open awareness, and they just permit and allow whatever arises to arise. And they're mindful of it. They're aware of it, including thoughts, which, interestingly, with thoughts, you pay a little bit of attention to thoughts and they tend to scramble away, they hide. But with that Vipassana style or choiceless awareness that we do, you can kind of step back and just sort of allow the things to arise and apply just the right amount of energy on it. And you can do it for hours, really. It won't wear you out. But when we try to track, which is the usual tendency, we try to track things too closely, boom, 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 like this, it'll tire you out even faster than just sticking to one object. It can anyways. So the idea is to kind of step back a little bit and just let things arise. We notice them and let them go. And you just try to find that right distance, that right amount of effort. And you'll find that you can really stay like that for quite a long time. So I'm going to go to Joseph's book. I want to especially show you guys the different definitions of this wonderful word, Vidriya. Let's see, where's the beginning? Come on. Wow, a little more than I thought this. Here we go. Move this thing somewhere. Here we go. Okay. So the word vidriya right there, when translated into English, and I presume pretty much you'd find the same in Spanish, it has been translated variously as energy, effort, strength, courage, vigor, perseverance, and persistence. So what do we got? We got like seven different Western words that can come out of just this one Pali word, vidriya, which is also a Sanskrit word similarly pronounced. So we've talked a lot about energy and effort. We talked a little bit about courage, but it can also mean strength, vigor, perseverance, and persistence. So then starting in this, where it's blue here, in its most basic, I got all these funny things on my screen, I can't get past them. In its most basic meaning, vidriya is the capacity for activity, the power to do something. I think I mentioned that. So that's the essence of it, right? And all those things go into it, courage and vigor and persistence. We kind of need all those things to really get something done, especially if it's a long-term task. So then what he does is he goes through the various definitions, talks about strength, talks about courage. This one I rather liked. He says, courage is energized by challenges. It is inspired by difficult tasks and even seeks them out. I never really thought of that, quite honestly. And not just to sort of use me as an example, but not to say that I have any courage, because I'm not sure I do. But I tend to kind of like a challenge. Like I tried to learn Spanish at the ripe young age of 58, and now I'm 60, almost 65, and I can sort of speak Spanish. Some people think I can speak Spanish. I mean, I kind of can. But it was a challenge, right? And that's what interested me in it. And now, for either I'm crazy or I just like more challenges. So now I'm in France, and I'm going to try to learn a little bit of French. Un peu. I'm not going to try to learn as much as I know in Spanish, but it's because of the challenge. Like I love going out into the street and buying my, fait de cour, I think they call it, or something like that. Doing the buying of the shopping, or shopping, I guess what we call it in English. The basic groceries. Well, that takes courage, because I don't want to do it in English. And of course, I'm in France right now, so I'm not going to do it in Spanish. But when I'm in Spain, I do it in Spanish. And I'll go to all the little shops in my barrio, right, in La Latina, and I'll get all my little things. Maybe I'll visit 4 or 5, and I get back to my apartment. I'm like, yeah, I'm like energized. And it just occurred to me that it could be coming from courage. I didn't ever think of it that way, but it came from the challenge and then the success, right? So let's say it comes from courage. Let's say that Goldstein is correct on this. So this courage is energized by challenge, and this creates energy. And I know sometimes we can get kind of stuck in a rut where it's just kind of difficult, but if we could just maybe do a walking meditation, or sit when we don't want to sit, or, maybe we just read a little bit about the Dharma, pushing ourselves in that way could generate some energy. Let's see. Here's another quote by the same monk that I quoted earlier. Avoiding difficult situations or running away from them does not take much skill or effort. But doing so prevents you from testing your own limits and from growing. The ability to face difficulties can be crucial for your growth, right? So we really are talking about having the courage to challenge ourselves. However, if you're faced with a situation in which the difficulties are simply overwhelming, you should step back for the time being and wait until you have built up enough strength to deal with it skillfully. So he's pointing here also to wisdom, that energy, much like investigation, much like mindfulness, has as a fundamental integrated part of it, wisdom. Knowing when to apply the right amount, when to back off, as this big title here says, balancing the quality of effort. Okay, here's just some questions he asks. He calls it the thorny problem of understanding the relationship between all of these qualities, these different 7 different things that it could be translated at, which are essentially qualities of that vidriya, and effort. What is effort? When is it balanced? When is it counterproductive? And right here is what I think we want to look at. Right here. Effort can become unskillful when there is a forcing of mind. What he calls efforting, which is a pretty standard word, right? Rather than a relaxation of the mind. So this is something we can observe. Are you like forcing your mind? Are you pushing your mind? Are you trying to concentrate your mind? Or are you relaxing your mind and allowing it to concentrate? The mind wants to concentrate. Believe it or not, because it runs away all the time, it loves a concentrated state. But it can only happen when it's relaxed. Even though, contrary to probably how we were raised, by our teachers and our parents when we're supposed to study, concentrate, concentrate. In this particular case, the type of concentration is not a forced, focused attention. It's a relaxed attention. So key and so contrary to how we are raised. So many of us, In the pink here, effort becomes unskillful when there's some idea of gain and a mind full of expectation, rather than an openness and receptivity to what is already there. Expectations are just a killer. As soon as we expect, as soon as we want something, I can assure you, you're not going to get it. I mean, you may get lucky, but if we want relaxed concentration, that alone, the wanting of it, can prevent us from getting relaxed concentration. This was a rather long story about Joseph that I might bring up. But hold on one second here. Yeah, hear a little bit more about this same theme. If there is a strong agenda, the in order to mind, being aware in order for something in particular to happen. Like if we're trying to generate energy in order for piti to arise, right? And then we're trying to generate piti in order for tranquility to arise, and then we're trying to experience tranquility for samadhi to arise. These happen naturally, but if we've got this in order to mind, like this goal-oriented mind, we're probably not going to get past energy or even investigation. Or if we're holding on to the object too tightly, right, that we'll lose it. Afraid that we'll lose it, then we need to open and relax the mind, soften the quality of our effort. On the other hand, if the mind is continually drifting off and there is no effort to investigate what is going on, then we need to strengthen this effort factor. And this is really where the art comes in, where the practice comes in, where we kind of notice, okay, I get tired out, my mind gets tight, my body gets tight. Okay, I probably should back off a bit. Or on the other hand, God, every time I meditate, I fall asleep or end up daydreaming or whatever. Well, probably some energy is needed. Here's a very good, you can just ask yourself, right, this question right here. Is the mind too tight or is it too loose? Okay, here's the thing I mentioned at the beginning, tuning the strings of the lute. Sort of like it's a musical instrument, like a guitar. Okay, good advice always, right down here. It is not a question of should or right or wrong. There's no should. As soon as you start shoulding on yourself, you should notice that and try to let that go. Right? This is about being with things as they are. And it doesn't matter what it is. Theoretically, this is easier said than done, of course. This practice is leading us to a place where we can equanimously be with whatever arises, whether it's pain, whether it's loss, and whether it's happiness, whether it's joy, whatever arises. I mean, some people have more difficulty being with happiness and joy than they have being with unhappiness and pain. Some people would rather be with pain. I know quite a number of people that are much more comfortable in a state of pain or much more comfortable in a state of unhappiness. This becomes an habitual pattern for them. As I think we talked briefly there, I listened to this podcast where a guy was saying that people become addicted to anxiety. Well, I've experienced enough anxiety to know that it's not pleasurable, right? But if we get addicted to it, well, then we're going to be stuck in this unpleasant state. And the idea with the path, this path, is to be able to be with whatever as it is. In which case, anxiety wouldn't even arise. Anxiety arises when we can't be with what we think is going to happen or what we think is happening, right? Then we start to feel anxious. It's all coming from our mind. He writes here, on the other hand, if the mind feels too tight, if there's too much effort, and we're filled with self-judgment, this is a very good indicator if your mind is too tight. Are you experiencing self-judgment? Are you experiencing self-criticism? Is that inner critic, you're not doing a good job, you're not staying with the object long enough, you're thinking too much. If you've got that thought going on, you're probably being too tight. Now you want to relax a little bit, right? You want to back off a little bit. So then he writes, then the softer side of vidriya should be cultivated. And these are I love this. This is something that I would not have put together myself, but thank God there's these wonderful teachers before us. These are the aspects of perseverance and constancy. Remember, we talked about perseverance as being one of the definitions of vidriya. So when we have perseverance, therefore, or thus, we have like the confidence that we can hang in there, and we do hang in there, that constancy, right? We stay with it, then we don't need so much tightness. There's no hurry, no prisa, right? Because we've got the perseverance. We can go the long haul. So these are the more softer side. It's like there's no hurry. There really isn't. We don't need to achieve nirvana today. We don't even need to reach piti today. How are we doing on time? Couple more minutes. Yeah, okay. So the causes for energy to arise, this is an interesting thing. It goes exactly almost contrary to what I just said, but not really in the same way. It's called spiritual urgency. So this is if you are one who experiences a lot of lethargy, sloth and torpor, kind of tiredness, sueño, and worse, depression, downward spiraling and stuff like that. You might be able to generate some energy. You might be able to get energy to arise by reminding yourself of what is called spiritual urgency. So he writes, the proximate cause, so that means the cause, the reason, quite close, for the arising of vidriya as a factor of enlightenment is the feeling of spiritual urgency. The Buddha talked of attending to those awakening factors as a matter of vital concern and not simply as something to do in our off hours. So now, if you already are one who tends more towards the self-judgment, the self-criticism, you're not doing enough, you should be doing more, this one, you probably don't need this one. But if you're more the other way, where you just can't seem to get on the cushion, you can't join our classes or whatever, then you might remind yourself of the importance, right, of the spiritual journey, the importance of awakening. And then I'll end with this one, which is an interesting one. Another one is reflecting on death. Oof. It's probably not many practices out there that use death as one of the tools, but in Buddhism we do. Reflecting on death is another powerful reminder to use the time of our lives in a way that benefits ourselves and others. Each day, life gets shorter, right? It's one less day. Day by day, life is running out. Can we hold this truth in our awareness as a way of arousing spiritual urgency? Okay, I'm going to stop there for lack of time. It's just a little bit more. So I'd love to hear someone else's voice. If anybody has something they'd like to say or offer or any questions. Okay, I see Alicia, you went off mute. Did you have something or someone has something to say or no? Okay.
Just in case anybody want to say anything.
Okay. I'll put you back on mute just in case. Okay, these are a lot of words, but I personally think this list is very helpful in our day-to-day lives and our day-to-day practice, even though it's a 2,600-year-long old list, they still apply today. Okay, well, if no questions, we'll finish up energy next week, and then we'll move on to the joy, rapture, piti. Meanwhile, why don't we close with a little metta meditation? Is that okay? Okay, so I'm going to offer some phrases, some wishes. I kind of like how Martina leads it, and I did it last week this way. So I think I'm going to do it again, where we're going to offer first a benefactor, wishes to a benefactor, somebody we really love or admire unconditionally. And then we'll do ourselves, I, and then a difficult person, and then all beings. So I'll offer some phrases. You can repeat them mentally to yourself. So starting with our benefactor. So imagine somebody you really love, or it could be a pet. I always see with Lotta, she has a little kitty cat. Maybe it could be a kitty cat. Some being that you have no friction or resentment towards. May you be happy. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease and comfort. And now, I, ourselves, me. For some people, this one can be difficult, but let's give it a shot. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I live with ease. Now the difficult person. Imagine somebody you have a resentment towards or that hurt your feelings. May have did something or not did something that you wished had been different. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease and comfort. And the last group, all beings without exception in all directions. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings live with ease and comfort. And finally, in the tradition of renunciation, of letting go, of generosity, of dana, let's offer up the fruit of our practice today, the teachings, our Sangha or community, and our Buddha nature, offering these up to the benefit of all beings. May all beings be happy and peaceful, healthy and strong, safe and protected. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, free from war and violence, discrimination, racism, and free from coronavirus. And may all beings find their path, find their factors that will lead to the end of their suffering, that will lead to equanimity, lead to happiness. May all beings be free. Thank you all very much for being here, there, everywhere, supporting our practice, supporting my practice. Quite a bit different talking into a computer, but still, I'd rather do this than not. A couple quick announcements just around dana. Most of you know that we offer everything. Bye, Emilio. We offer everything here in the spirit of generosity. And this means there's no charge for any of the sessions or classes at Saladana. And we want to keep it that way. This is our experiment. And you can also make a donation. You can leave it in the wooden box in the entryway, or you can help us clean up. I also want to thank Alethea and Carlos for your service. I very much appreciate it. Without your dana, it would be very hard for me to do this from here. And you can check the website, saladana.org. There's a lot of classes. I believe there's 10 meditation classes a week and 9 yoga classes at Saladana Presencial. And there's also posted on the board out front. And soon we're going to have a bulletin board where we'll have some announcements, and you can keep checking that for volunteer possibilities and so forth. And I want to thank you all who came on Zoom. I very much appreciate it. Keep supporting that aspect. And some of you I know go out to eat afterwards, and hopefully there will be a dinner for you all. And I guess, Carlos, this is your last Sunday for a few weeks, huh? Oh, no. Oh, you'll be the next one? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all very much, and have a good remaining Sunday and a good week. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, thank you.
Hey, Damien, I want to confirm. Oh, hi, Martina. I didn't know you were there. Damien, you still have a key, right? To the cierre? Yeah, okay. Good, good, good. I need a slightly wider angle so I can, because I didn't know Martina was even hiding over there in the corner. Camera shy.
Also, Lara is here and she helped set up.
Lara, can you hold off, because we're going to have a bank account by next Sunday that's more direct. Yeah, because, PayPal was grabbing a big bunch. I didn't like that. That was not very generous on their part.
I didn't know that. Okay, good to know.
It was absurd. It was like 15% or some.
Wow.
I know. And maybe I didn't sign up correctly. But anyways, those went to the US affiliate. And now all we need is one more signature. And then we're going to have a Spanish bank account that any place in Europe we could transfer to.
Perfect. Great.
Thank you, though, for offering.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good day. Good night. Good tomorrow. Okay, kids. See you. Hasta